Since the release of the Osmo Pocket almost a couple of years ago now, there has pretty much been nothing to contend with it. Until now. What's going on, guys? I hope we're all well, staying fit and healthy. If you're new to my channel, welcome. My name is Jason Morris and I am a photographer, filmmaker, and just be sure to subscribe for heaps of photography and filmmaking content. Anyway, today I'm going to discuss this little beast right here. This is the FIMI PALM. Now, this isn't the only small camera to contend with the Osmo Pocket. Snooper has come out with the V-Mate, which in my opinion looks pretty poor, but let's not discuss that. Fayutech has also sent some copies out of their Fayutech Pocket, which I saw on Maro Films. You can obviously check that in the link in the description below. But this is the FIMI PALM. Is it any good? I mean, the plus side of releasing a pocket-sized gimbal after the Osmo Pocket is that you pretty much have something to reference to. You pretty much have an idea of what people like and what people want in a pocket gimbal. This seems to do just that. Initially, I thought this thing was nothing really special and nothing would really beat the Osmo Pocket, but oh boy, I was pretty much incorrect on that one. This has a few things that people wish the Osmo Pocket had. Let's run through some of the specs of this bad boy right here. But before we do that, I just want to address that yes, I will be making a comparison video of this thing and the Osmo Pocket. So be sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel, hit that bell notification so you can be notified when that drops. Also, thanks to Per Gear for making this initial review possible, for sending me this copy right here. So it sports a 1/2.6 inch 12 megapixel CMOS sensor, which has an aperture of 2.4 with a wide field of view of 128 degrees. Yes, 128 degrees. Let's get back to that in a sec. Anyway, it has an ISO range of 100 to 3200 and is capable of shooting 4K at 30 frames per second at 100 megabits per second and slow motion at 120 frames per second. It has a decent battery life of 1000 milliamp hour, which may vary obviously depending on how you use it and what record settings you use. And for aesthetics, it has a nice flat bottom with a rubber surface, and placing it on the flat ground makes it a lot easier. It is a standard 1/4-20 tripod mount at the back, which can be very useful, and it charges through USB-C. And it comes with a gimbal protector straight out of the box, which is really good, and a nice little spot here for a lanyard. It also has 3 times digital zoom, which can actually be great, but it does crop in. I do prefer to not crop in and just get a little bit closer. But if you do have to crop in, you can just crop in post, or you can do it in camera. It's up to you. You do lose a little bit of quality if you do that digital cropping. But there is also the H.265 codec rather than H.264, which can actually make things a little bit easier and smoother in edit. And it basically has modes like Super HDR mode, night shot, 8x slow motion, story mode, time lapse, motion hyperlapse, and the 2 best features of all, Wi-Fi and Bluetooth inbuilt. Now, there is also a joystick on the front which controls the gimbal. How awesome is that? Now let's get back to the field of view before we get into some of the footage of this thing. Now, it claims to have a field of view 128 degrees. Now, the Osmo Pocket has a field of view of 80 degrees. 128 degrees field of view is very close to the Osmo Action, or pretty much any action camera. It's pretty much similar, like almost exactly the same to the GoPro Hero 8 in wide field of view. Now that is very interesting. And it also adopts the same concept as pretty much has everything in focus as like what action cameras do. And it gives you a very similar action camera sort of feel. This can actually be a pro or a con depending on how you look at it. But do you really prefer a wider field of view, or do you prefer to have a standard field of view a little bit closer? Comment below, I'd really like to know. Just let me know what you prefer. Now let's get into some of the footage to see what this thing looks like. Now the image does look pretty good. I mean, it is wide, it's crisp. You can even get that nice flat picture profile called F-Log. This just desaturates the image. It gives you the ability to color grade to your own preference and obviously match to your own footage as well with your other cameras. But what are the cons with this thing? Now it's purely subjective, but honestly a wide angle field of view can be seen more like a pro rather than a con, but it really depends on how you shoot. I personally usually shoot with a lot longer lenses. Anything above 35 millimeters is pretty standard for me. And this is actually quite wide. And also having everything in focus just really gives it sort of cheap action camera look and has that limited depth of field, obviously, because there pretty much isn't any depth of field. One of the cons also is 4K at 60. Like, I do love shooting at 4K, and a high frame rate would be great for slow motion. You are stuck and limited at the 30 frames per second. So you are forced to shoot at 1080 to get that slow motion, which, you know, depends on how you shoot. Once again, if you do like 1080, that's perfectly fine. But 4K on these cameras looks very similar to just the 1080 footage on a regular DSLR or mirrorless camera anyway. Also, having an f2.4 aperture can also be a con. Now, the Osmo Pocket is an f2, which potentially will make it better under low light situations, thus less grain. But I will test this under low light situations comparing the Osmo Pocket just to really show what the qualities are. But these cons really is just nitpicking. Like, what are my initial thoughts on this? I think this is a real contender for the Osmo Pocket. It does perform really well for the price, coming in at only $200 US. Now, this tool pretty much is a must in any kit. Just like the Osmo Pocket, there are many situations where having a small camera like this can actually be really handy. It will take me many hours though to push this thing through the limits just to really test it out, but my initial thoughts is I am extremely impressed, and DJI should be fretting a little bit. But if you haven't got the Osmo Pocket, then this is perfectly fine. Honestly, if you do have the Osmo Pocket, you'll do perfectly fine with the Osmo Pocket. There is no need to switch over. They are pretty much very similar in my opinion, but we'll compare that anyway. But be sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel because I will be doing more with the FIMI PALM and some epic situations with this and comparing it to the Osmo Pocket. Anyway guys, that is it from me. That's my initial impressions of the FIMI PALM. Hope you liked this video. If you did, hit that thumbs up. That would be absolutely amazing. Comment below what your thoughts are on the FIMI PALM. If you haven't got the Osmo Pocket or anything else, will you be getting this? $200 US? That's pretty damn cheap. But anyway, subscribe to my YouTube channel if you already haven't. Like I said, my name's Jason Morris, and I'll see you guys in the next one. All right, let's get it.